Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Claude Bertoni. The subject today is all around dog names from a perspective of why a lot of people have trouble getting their dogs to recognize what behavior is expected when you call their name. We'll talk about the potential problems and look at the solutions to try and get your dog to understand what it is that you want it to do when you call its name. The reason why I wanted to put this video up is oftentimes when I go and do a behavioural consultation with people, one of the things that I hear, and it gets expressed quite often, is that people have trouble getting their dogs to understand what it is that they're supposed to do when they hear their name. They're frustrated because when you call them, the dogs don't come. All sorts of different behaviours, and the dogs look at them as if they're completely confused. So what I wanted to do in the context of this video today is to break down all the potential problems that actually we generate as human beings with regards to what we do to get the dog to understand what its name means, and how we can potentially get the dog to better understand what it is that we want it to do, because at the end of the day, it's a really simple exercise and the dogs need to understand it. So if you're like every other owner, I'm sure that what you'd really want is to be able to go through life where you have a dog that enjoys looking at you, enjoys wanting to be with you, has got a healthy relationship with you, whether you're simply walking down the street and your dog is actually happy to give you eye contact, or whether you're sitting in a park and your dog's in a nice drop and it's continuously looking around at everything but it's looking at you as well, or you simply got it in a sit and you actually realise that the dog wants to look at you and give you attention. These are all really good things, but it's hard to develop unless the dog knows that eye contact is a pretty good driver. So if you ever wanted to actually have a dog that gives you good eye contact across the board and actually enjoys it, the whole video today is all about how to get that through your dog. Before we can look at possible solutions, we need to understand the limitations of what we're doing. So the first thing that most of us get wrong is to not understand that dogs don't effectively have a name. That's a human term. We understand the whole concept of a name, but dogs don't. They're really simple. To a dog, that word that we think is its name is a noise, and the dog then needs to associate a behavior that we want to do or want the dog to do when it hears that word. So we overly complicate it. And when I have a chat with a lot of clients, and before I became an instructor, I was guilty of the same thing, is that we invariably use the dog's name for way too many different things. So most of us, if we can't find our dog, we'll call it by its name and the dog runs towards us. So its name, effectively at some point in time, is a recall command. And then when we're chilling out and we're having a bit of fun with the dog and we're giving it a bit of a cuddle, a lot of us tend to use the dog's name, say it's Fido, as a term of endearment. Good boy, Fido. So all of a sudden it's gone from a recall command to now a term of endearment. And then at some point in time, the dog does something wrong, so we may use its name to tell it off. So in a loud tone, we might go, Fido, and the dog starts to go, okay, so that word also now means punishment or something derogatory. And then the last thing that we might want to use is the name to actually get eye contact. So we might go Fido and the dog looks and we get it rewarded. That's pretty difficult for a dog to realise, because effectively the word means 4 different behaviours. Now, in order for that to happen, the dog needs to prioritise and understand, well, in this environment, when you say that word, what is it that you want me to do? And that is very, very difficult for a dog to do, because all of a sudden, it's not as if the dog is disobeying you. The dog is confused. It actually doesn't understand which behavior you want it to do at which point in time when you actually say that word. So there's a term in the industry called learnt irrelevance, that at some point in time the dog goes, this is just too hard. I don't know what word you're using and what behavior you want me to use in this particular point in time. It is really that simple. So in order to make the training more effective going forward, we need to bring the training back a little bit and make it really clear to the dog what its name actually means. So in order to actually get a good understanding of how we want the dog to behave, we need to have an end in mind. And most of the time when I do a behavioural consult with people, I say, what is it that you want your dog to do when it hears that name? And most of the people that I do a session with say, when I call my dog's name, I want it to run to me. And I explain to them, are you sure that that's the right behaviour? The reason why I don't want a dog to come back to me when it hears its name being called is if it becomes an automatic response and my dog is on the other side of a 6-lane freeway and it's run away from home and I need to go find it. If I call its name, the minute I call it, it's likely to start to run. So there's a great potential that the dog will run across the freeway and get hit. So then when we talk this through a little bit further, I say, wouldn't it be a better option that if I call my dog's name, all it does is it stops whatever it's doing and it turns and gives me eye contact. In the process in doing that, then I know that I've got my dog's undivided attention. So if my dog is on the other side of this 6-lane freeway and I want to get it back, and it responds to its name simply stopping and looking, I can call its name Fido, it will stop, turn, give me eye contact, and I go, excellent, now he's looking at me. And I can then give my dog a subsequent instruction, which could be sit, could be drop, could be something, could be stay, could be whatever. So then my dog goes, got it, now you don't want me to move, and then I can go back and pick up my dog. If it was responding to its name by simply running when it hears it, we have a potential problem. So before we actually train the behavior, we need to know what do we want the dog to do when it hears that word, and then we can start shaping that behavior accordingly. So my advice to everybody is simply use the dog's name as what we call awareness recognition. The dog stops what it's doing, you say Fido, the dog goes, and it looks at you and it gets rewarded for it. That way it makes it very, very clear that the dog goes, every time I hear that word, all it means, stop what I'm doing and give me eye contact, which then therefore means you can't use the word as a recall command, you can't use the word as a term of endearment, and you can't use the word as a punishment tool. So in order for that to happen, we need to introduce a potential secondary word. So when I had my current pup, his name is Lucifer, Black German Shepherd, have a bit of a sense of humour. So from day one, that word Lucifer simply meant stop what you're doing and give me eye contact. So in order to maintain that, I introduced a secondary word, and that's a throwaway word that I use, and that's boo-boo. So that word boo-boo is a word, if I can't find him in the backyard, I'll go boo-boo, and he comes running. If I want to tell him off, potentially, I might use the word boo-boo. If we have a term of endearment, boo-boo, whatever. It's one of these words that I don't care how he relates back to, but I never use his word, his name, Lucifer, unless I want him to stop what he's doing and give me eye contact. And it's also the precursor to a recall, where my dog might be 30 or 40 meters away. I call his name Lucifer, he turns to look at me, and then I introduce a come command. And there'll be another video that I'll be doing on recall later on to teach you how to do this properly. But invariably, if we teach the dog to understand that this particular word just means eye contact, then all of a sudden the dog goes, this is really simple, all I need to do is that. And when I give my dog to other people, I say to them, if you want my dog's attention and you want my dog to stop doing whatever it's doing, simply say the word Lucifer and he will stop doing everything and give you eye contact. Very important to have the end in mind and start the process.
So I want to give you a bit of a demonstration as to how to develop eye contact with a word, and to make sure that the only part of the dog's body that can move when you give that instruction is the dog's head. So he doesn't associate any forward movement. All he associates is just turning and giving you eye contact as a result. So the reason why the dog is in that sit is we're controlling his body position, so that the only part of his body that can actually move is his head. Okay, so I'm waiting for him to be distracted. Lucifer, good boy, good boy. If you notice, I rewarded the eye contact, because what I want him to associate is, if he just turns and gives me that eye contact, he gets rewarded for it. So the reason why I'm choosing that word association with my reward is that I want him to associate it with me. And if he turns voluntarily, that's a conscious decision, as opposed to this one, where I'm trying to lure him with food or luring him with a hand action, so he's actually following a trail. That's not a learnt behavior. That's effectively just following a prompt and guiding and actually trying to figure out the movement of an object, as opposed to a conscious decision that the dog makes to move forward. And then if we want free, we can release him out of that position. So then he starts to understand that when he gives me that eye contact, he can then get released out of that position and get his freedom back as a result.
So now that we've seen a couple of the demonstrations with regards to how to get eye contact with this association with me as opposed to luring, you'll realise that it works whether we're training an 8-week-old puppy or a 5-year-old dog. It's irrelevant. The process is exactly the same for both. In fact, it's probably even better with a puppy, because they actually haven't had that much exposure to a lot of other distractions. But what I need you to realise is the instruction is not a command. It is simply a prompt. So when I say the word Lucifer with my dog, there is no consequence attached to it. He doesn't get a correction for not looking, and I'm not getting angry. It's purely just a prompt for him to realise that as soon as he turns and gives me eye contact, he gets that really, really good attention. And what I want to develop with that is a really strong positive association with it, because the benefit of having a dog that works to give you eye contact based on your personality means the training and the eye contact and the looking at you happens in any environment, regardless of whether you have balls, food, or tuck toys. It's simply personality driven with you, and it's really important. So that's the end of the video, folks. Thanks again for watching it right through to the end. Really appreciate it. Hope it made a bit of sense and hope it clarified the simplicity of how we can make these mistakes so much bigger than what they need to be, because teaching a dog to respond to its name is relatively simple stuff. If you have any questions or need a bit of further clarification, by all means leave me a comment and I'll do my best to answer you. If you feel that some of the things that I've been saying don't make any sense and you disagree with them, I'd like to hear from you as well. Again, thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you're a returning visitor to my YouTube channel, thank you. Really appreciate your support. If you're a new visitor and you like the content, please hit the subscribe button, but more importantly, hit the bell notification. That way you don't miss any of the content when I put it up.